What if I told you there's a plan so bold, so unbelievable, it could unite two fractured lands beneath one unbroken stretch of steel? Sounds impossible, right? Before I blow your mind with the sheer scale of this project, don't forget to hit subscribe because today we're diving into the insane, nearly mythical plan to build a bridge from Australia to Tasmania, and why, if that ever happens, it will change everything. For more than 12,000 years, Tasmania has existed as a solitary island, separated from mainland Australia by the tempestuous waters of the Bass Strait. This isolation has sculpted the island's identity, from its rugged coastline where relentless winds lash against sheer cliffs, to the tranquil alpine heartlands nestled deep within. The flora, fauna, and human cultures here evolved apart, each shaped profoundly by this geographic divide. Yet, this solitude was not always permanent. In the depths of the last ice age, when glaciers carved vast expanses of the earth and sea levels plummeted, a vast landmass emerged between Tasmania and Victoria, what we now know as the Bassian Plain. This was not just an invisible geological footnote, but a vital artery, a connective tissue linking two lands and the peoples that walk them. Aboriginal communities traversed this plain freely, establishing trade routes, cultural exchanges, and migratory patterns that wove their lives into a shared continent. This land bridge was the stage on which centuries of human history played out in harmony with nature's rhythms. Then, as the Ice Age waned and the planet's warmth returned, the oceans began their inexorable rise. Slowly, the Bassian Plain vanished beneath surging waters, swallowed whole by the expanding Bass Strait. What was once solid Earth transformed into a formidable maritime barrier. The strait became a tempestuous expanse of unpredictable waves, chilly currents, and sudden storms, earning a reputation as one of the most challenging bodies of water surrounding Australia. For millennia, this liquid wall has kept Tasmania and mainland Australia apart, a natural moat that defined the island's isolation. Human passage across these waters was always at the mercy of the sea, with the humble ferry serving as the only reliable, regular link, an imperfect but vital lifeline to the outside world. But what if this ancient barrier could be overcome once again? What if, instead of a perilous journey over water, a permanent physical link could be established, a bridge or tunnel spanning nearly 240 kilometers, restoring the ancient connection not with earth and stone, but with steel and concrete? What if the island's destiny could be reimagined, shaped by the bold hands of engineers and visionaries who dare to dream beyond the current horizon? This is not just infrastructure, this is a resurrection, a rebirth of the old world bridge, redefined for the modern era. It's a megastructure of epic scale, capable of altering Tasmania's economic, social, and cultural future in ways only imagined in the wildest dreams of planners. Yet, make no mistake, the ocean will not yield easily. The forces that carve this strait remain relentless: tempests, shifting seabeds, and tectonic unpredictability, all waiting to test the resolve of anyone who dares build across it. The dream of linking Tasmania to the mainland is far from a novel fantasy. It has long captured the imagination of engineers and policymakers alike. As early as the 1950s, whispers of a grand bridge crossing the Bass Strait surfaced in planning circles. Back then, it was a tantalizing idea, bold, but seemingly out of reach due to technological and financial constraints. Fast forward to the 1990s and the conversation resurfaced, driven by Tasmania's mounting economic challenges. The island's resilience on sea freight and ferry transport limited its growth, and a fixed connection promised a lifeline, a way to break free from isolation and plug into the mainland's booming economy. Yet, those plans faltered amid grim cost estimates, safety concerns, and the daunting engineering challenges posed by the vast and volatile strait. The dream seemed too ambitious, too fraught with risk. In recent years, rising ferry fares, growing trade ambitions, and an explosion in tourism have rekindled the debate. Tasmania's future feels tethered by the limits of its watery boundary, and a fixed link has emerged once more as a serious option. New advances in engineering and materials, alongside the successful completion of colossal megabridges worldwide, have transformed what once seemed impossible into a growing realm of plausibility. Take for example the world's longest bridge, the Dangyang Kunshan Grand Bridge in China, stretching over 160 kilometers, or the Hong Kong Zhuhai Macau Bridge, a 55-kilometer marvel of bridges and tunnels. These projects prove that with enough ambition and investment, no distance is too vast, no engineering challenge too great. So the question today is no longer why, but how. What would it take to build such a monumental link between Tasmania and mainland Australia? Engineers and planners have pored over countless maps, studies, and oceanic surveys to identify the most feasible path. Three main routes have emerged, each with its own mix of promise and peril, a high-stakes gamble that weighs distance against nature's formidable challenges. First, there is the direct crossing, the straight shot. At its narrowest, the Bass Strait measures approximately 240 kilometers, a daunting distance but also the fastest route. This option offers the most direct connection between Tasmania and Victoria, promising to slash travel times and logistics bottlenecks dramatically. But it is also the harshest, confronting the rawest forces of nature head-on. The Bass Strait is notorious for its violent seas, frigid waters, and an unstable geological foundation shaped by shifting tectonic plates. To build a bridge or tunnel across this expanse would require overcoming the full fury of storms, currents, and seismic risk, a challenge demanding unparalleled engineering courage and innovation. Second, the Flinders Island arc presents a gentler but longer alternative. Flinders Island, nestled halfway between Tasmania and the mainland, offers shallower, calmer waters and a natural stepping stone. The island itself could serve as a staging point for construction, maintenance, and logistics, breaking the enormous crossing into more manageable segments. Yet this advantage comes at a price. This route would require two colossal structures rather than one, significantly increasing complexity and cost. The journey itself would be longer, testing patience and resources in a different way. Third, the King Island leapfrog presents a compromise between distance and complexity. This route would connect Tasmania to the mainland by hopping across King Island, with shorter distances between landmasses and a relatively stable ocean floor. But even here, the engineering puzzle grows. New roads, ports, and support infrastructure would be required on the islands themselves, turning the project into not just a crossing, but a broader logistical overhaul. No matter which route is chosen, one truth remains unyielding. None are easy, and all come with extraordinary technical and environmental challenges. Yet despite these hurdles, the direct crossing remains the boldest favorite among many experts and stakeholders. In the high-stakes calculus of megaprojects, shorter often means cheaper, or at least more efficient. But even this shortest path commands respect, for it demands confronting a wild and uncompromising ocean in its rawest form. Building a crossing over the Bass Strait is an engineering puzzle of unprecedented scale. The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, spanning 55 kilometers, is currently one of the longest sea bridges in the world. The proposed Bass Strait crossing would dwarf it by more than 4 times, stretching nearly 250 kilometers. Imagine the logistics of constructing support towers in waters deeper than 60 meters, anchored to a shifting and unstable seabed. The bridge would need cutting-edge seismic dampeners to absorb earthquake shocks, aerodynamic trusses to withstand violent winds, and advanced sway control systems to stabilize against typhoons. Despite these innovations, seasonal storms could still shutter the crossing for days, reminding us of nature's unyielding power. On the flip side, a tunnel beneath the Bass Strait, nearly 5 times longer than Japan's Saigon Tunnel, would demand a hybrid of tunneling techniques, immersed tube segments in shallow waters, massive boring machines through volcanic rock, and even submerged floating tunnels held by giant seabed tethers, flexing with ocean currents. This is not just infrastructure, it's a glimpse into the future of extreme engineering. Ambition comes with an eye-watering price tag. Japan's Saigon Tunnel cost $7 billion for just over 53 kilometers. Extrapolate that to a 240-kilometer Bass Strait tunnel and the bill skyrockets to an estimated $40 billion, assuming everything goes smoothly. Building a full-scale sea bridge would likely surpass $80 billion, accounting for materials, labor, safety measures, weatherproofing, and decades of maintenance. Yet the question remains, would the traffic volumes ever justify such an investment? Would the bridge or tunnel ever pay for itself? The truth is, Tasmania already pays an unseen toll for its isolation. Every ferry delay, every disrupted supply chain, every potential visitor deterred by the logistical challenges represents lost economic opportunity. No matter how steep the upfront cost, this connection could be the crucial patch sealing those leaks and unlocking Tasmania's full potential. Tasmania is a sanctuary of wilderness, a last refuge for unique wildlife and ancient forests. The Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area is a haven for creatures like the Tasmanian devil and the majestic wedge-tailed eagle. Beneath the Bass Strait's waves, fragile ecosystems thrive in quiet balance, home to southern right whales, pods of dolphins, and coastal seals. Yet construction would bring seismic disruption, noise, dredging, explosions, all shaking the sea floor and stirring silt clouds that threaten water clarity and marine life. Migratory routes for fish and mammals could be severed and habitats permanently altered. Even with the strictest environmental safeguards, the risk of damage remains. It may only be postponed, not avoided. Before breaking ground, years of rigorous environmental assessments, public consultations, and impact mitigation strategies would be essential. Because to build a bridge over the water is also to bridge the delicate relationship between progress and preservation. Tasmania's economic landscape has long been shaped and often constrained by its physical separation from mainland Australia. The island's unique geography, while beautiful and rich in natural resources, has historically been a barrier to seamless economic integration. Ferries serve as the primary mode of transportation across the Bass Strait, but these vessels come with significant drawbacks. The cost of operating ferries is steep, a burden borne by freight companies, local businesses, and everyday Tasmanians alike. Unpredictable weather and rough seas frequently interrupt schedules, sometimes grounding ferries for days and throwing supply chains into disarray. Imagine a future where this fragile system is replaced by a reliable, fixed link, either a bridge spanning the water or a tunnel beneath it. The transformation would be staggering. Transport times that currently stretch into days could be compressed into mere hours. Tasmania's famous exports, world-class wine, dairy products, timber, and artisan goods, would reach the markets of Sydney and Melbourne faster and more predictably. This would unlock a cascade of economic benefits. Freight costs would fall, businesses could plan and operate with certainty, and the overall competitiveness of Tasmanian goods would surge. The ripple effects would spread across the island. From family-run farming cooperatives to large logistics hubs, the newfound connectivity would catalyze growth and innovation. Tourism too would flourish. Visitors would no longer have to endure multi-hour ferry rides across turbulent waters. Instead, they could simply drive or take public transit directly, making Tasmania feel less like a remote island and more like a natural extension of the Australian continent. Hotels, restaurants, tour operators, and local artisans would all benefit from this surge. The island's charm and natural beauty, combined with newfound accessibility, could position Tasmania as a must-visit destination year-round. In the long term, the fixed link could even reshape Tasmania's identity, transforming it into a manufacturing or tech hub. With more affordable real estate and exceptional quality of life, the island could attract businesses and workers eager to combine innovation with lifestyle, all just a short drive from mainland Australia's major cities. Beyond the concrete and steel, beyond the engineering challenges and economic calculations, this project holds deep symbolic meaning. It is not simply a matter of building a physical connection, but a powerful statement about Australia itself. For a nation known for its vast distances and remote outposts, the idea of bridging the final frontier, the island state of Tasmania, to the mainland carries enormous weight. It speaks to unity, connection, and the forward-looking spirit of a country that refuses to be limited by geography. This project challenges long-held perceptions of Australia as a land fragmented by distance. It is a bold assertion that remoteness could be overcome by vision and determination. Just as the Sydney Opera House revolutionized Australian architecture, becoming an icon recognized worldwide, and the Snowy Mountains scheme redefined engineering feats, this bridge or tunnel could redefine how Australians see themselves and their country. It would physically link the last true frontier to the continental body of Australia. Symbolically, it would embody the notion that no distance is too great, no barrier too daunting, when a nation chooses to bridge the gaps. At this moment, the dream remains just that, a vision on paper, a topic of conversation rather than construction. No shovels have broken ground, no cranes have started their steady dance over the strait. Surveyors have yet to map the final path in detail, and permits still await approval. Yet the momentum is building. Discussions once relegated to technical forums and government meetings have begun to enter the public arena. Media outlets debate the pros and cons, experts outline preliminary designs and explore feasibility. The very act of dreaming aloud makes the once unthinkable start to feel plausible. This growing confidence is not baseless optimism. Australia is already laying the foundations for greater interconnection. The Marinus Link, an ambitious undersea power cable project between Tasmania and Victoria, exemplifies this shift. As these smaller yet complex projects succeed, they build the technical knowledge, financial frameworks, and political will necessary for something grander. Technology in particular is racing ahead. What seemed impossible in the 1990s now appears achievable. What was laughed off in the early 2020s is becoming feasible, with blueprints likely to be ready in the coming decades. Advances in seismic sensors provide unprecedented insight into the region's geophysical stability. Drone scanning technologies map underwater topography with exquisite precision. Offshore wind turbines demonstrate the potential for renewable energy integration alongside infrastructure development. Each incremental advancement lays another brick in the foundation of this colossal dream. Eventually, the moment will arrive when a leader, a coalition, or a public mandate declares, "Let's do it." At that instant, cranes will lift, foundations will be poured, and steel will stretch across the waters or tunnels will burrow beneath the seabed. The project will move from vision to reality, forever altering Tasmania's place in Australia's history. Would you dare drive 240 kilometers across the ocean on the longest sea bridge the world has ever seen? Share your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for watching. See you in the next one.